This is a 1989 Porsche 944 Turbo, which many believe is one of the best front-engine water-cooled transaxle cars Porsche ever produced, which Porsche wholeheartedly believed would actually replace the Porsche 911. Now, obviously, we now know in this modern era that these cars did not replace the Porsche 911. However, they are becoming incredibly more collectible, and I believe this is one of the best versions of those cars that Porsche produced. It nearly had performance on par with that of an equivalent Porsche 911 at the time, and I think the styling is just so unique with things like the pop-up headlights and the subtle fender flares that Porsche added throughout as well. Now, this particular car features just 43,000 original miles. It has the original window sticker, a Porsche certificate of authenticity, and a very deep service history. And now it's for sale. It's heading up for auction on Bring a Trailer, where it will be selling with no reserve as offered from Cascio Motors.
As the late model turbo, under the hood is the M4452 in the same family as the standard naturally aspirated 944 engine, but an evolution of the early turbo's M4451 engine, now similar to the Turbo S, equipped with a larger KKK turbocharger and revised tuning, which increased the duration of max boost. The engine is a turbocharged and intercooled 2.5-liter four-cylinder rated for 247 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque, paired with a 5-speed manual transaxle and limited slip differential, sending power to the rear wheels. The engine up front and the transaxle in rear means the 944 Turbo also features a favorable near 50-50 weight distribution, and the whole car weighs just 3,100 pounds. With the increased late model power figures, the 1989 944 Turbo could achieve 0 to 60 in just 5.5 seconds with a top speed of 162 miles per hour, according to a Car and Driver Period review, making it quicker and faster than some 911 Carrera models and the fastest production four-cylinder in the world at the time. This particular car features $24,000 in recent invoices under the current seller's ownership in the last 5 years, including over $5,000 repairing and refreshing the air conditioning at a Porsche dealer and a complete tune-up, including an oil change, brake flush, coolant flush, engine mounts, spark plugs, and more, in preparation for the sale.
Closer look at the exterior of this particular 944. Of course, it's finished in Guards Red, a very popular color for the 944 and even Porsches for the time, but not so popular or kind of unique for this particular car is the linen in black interior. So that is a great looking interior to contrast the exterior, but we'll take a closer look at that in a sec. Another feature I've always loved about Porsche is the fact that you can see there's a lot of black throughout the car. While some manufacturers might use silver or chrome for a lot of their various pieces, Porsche used black, and it blends in with a lot of the seams and seals that are also visible, and I think just always gives it a classic Porsche clean look. Now, the 944 Turbo in particular had very unique styling that made it instantly recognizable, particularly here in the front. It really updated the car and brought it into the modern era. Starting with this front bumper here, it better molded to the actual body lines as opposed to the previous early cars, which had more of a detached impact bumper look that really just didn't suit the car all that flatteringly, whereas this is much more streamlined and it just makes it look way faster while also kind of improving aerodynamics. It also got the added benefit of these integrated fog lights and turn signals. You can see it still retains the pop-up headlights, which are a classic, which makes it look even faster during the day when the headlights are down. You still get the Porsche badge front and center there. And as we come around to the side, you can see the Porsche 944 Turbo has these massive flares around the wheel wells. Very popular stylistic 80s element, further enhanced here on the Turbo, of course, to get more aggressive with the wheel and tire fitment. This particular car is actually equipped with the Design 90 wheels, which are a staggered fitment. Up front here, you have 7x16s, whereas in the rear, they went much wider to try and attempt to put the power down. We're talking around 9x16 there. As you can see throughout, there are some classic Porsche touches. You can see lower here, you actually have the protective rock guards to try and help prevent some chips, including the black lower seals, and the further up one there on the back for the fender flares. You also have the classic style flag mirrors here. You have the power sunroof, which you can actually sort of raise and move out of the way for some more air. You also have the classic trigger style door handles. And then as we continue back here, you have the fuel filler on the side, the classic rubber, which is sort of like a rubbery flexible foam spoiler here on the back. And you have the idea of the hatch, including a third brake light, which is a great safety feature as well for these cars. Obviously, you also have the added lower section here. This little sort of lower diffuser or valence panel was another turbo thing that was added on and is still sold through the aftermarket, so you can find it on various cars, but appeared as part of this sort of aero package for the 944 Turbo. And then, of course, in very famous Porsche classic sense, you have the turbo badge itself, which just adds money onto any Porsche. The minute you hear the word turbo, the price goes up. As we take a look, we also have the same single exit exhaust that you would find on the other naturally aspirated cars. But that's a quick look at the exterior. It had some specific updates to make it look just a little bit faster and more modern.
Underneath, the 944 Turbo features fully independent suspension with stabilizer bars front and rear, with the Turbo featuring improved Brembo 4-piston disc brakes to compensate for the improved performance.
Now, while the 944 might have been cheaper than a 911, I want you to take a listen to this. That is classic German engineering door thud. Just because it was a cheaper car, they didn't skip out on anything. And once you actually get to the interior, it smells just like any other Porsche from the period, which I think is a great characteristic of these cars. So while they might be unloved in some circles, they are very much, in every sense of the word, a Porsche. The other cool thing about the Turbo model in particular is it debuted later in the 1986 model year. It also came with a significant update for the Porsche 944. So things like the interior, including the door cards, the dash, and other components which were known to be problematic in the earlier cars, were all actually fixed and updated. And this particular car, as a later 89 Turbo, comes with even more benefits, especially in terms of performance. Now, in terms of overall amenities, you have lots of power amenities, including additional options for this particular car with the very, very cool linen and black interior. Starting here in the door, you of course have power windows and power mirrors, so you can adjust that for both sides. The seats, while they have some decent bolstering, will also feature some power updates, but forwards and backwards is still manual, and then same thing with this for access to the back seats. Now, you do have back seats, although they won't really fit any reasonably sized adults. They're great for grocery bags or anything that maybe doesn't fit in the back hatch of the car. Moving the seat forward again, you also have some other cool features and unique 944 characteristics, like the parking brake actually being over here on the left side of the car, as opposed to the middle where most cars tend to put it. As we go ahead and climb into this particular car, you can see the updated dash, which currently reads the 43,000 original miles for this particular car. They also updated the arrangement of everything as well. This car also has air conditioning, which would have been an option in addition to things you expect like the US emissions package, but this is actually ice cold in this particular car, which is a nice thing to have, especially out here in the desert. And then below that, we also have the Porsche sound system, which in this case is the Hi-Fi sound system, so the better system of the era to actually have for listening to music. This particular car also has cruise control, which is a nice thing to have for long drives, and it just feels like a newer 90s Porsche with a lot of these updates that they did. So it really fit more so in line with the other products. Now, as you can see here, you also have a variety of controls for other features, including the optional rear wiper and even the sunroof controls, which is actually power adjustable. And then you also have your sun visors in a classic sense that do actually have little mirrors. Inside, it's quite comfortable. It's a 3-pedal car, of course, with a 5-speed manual transmission. And this particular car just has a great feel to it as you run through the gears, which is lovely to see. The actual dash display here, as you can see, with the main difference being a slightly higher speedometer and the fact that we actually get the boost gauge, because this is the 944 Turbo and does have that addition there. So that all makes for great characteristics on the inside of this Porsche 944 Turbo. So what's it like to drive the 944 Turbo? Well, it's everything you could possibly ask for from a 1980s turbocharged car. You get a bit of turbo noise on the inside of the cabin, and once the boost builds, in this case around $3,000, everything up from there, you get a nice kick from the turbocharger as it produces all that extra power through the RPM range, revving over 6,000 RPM. The steering is actually nice and light. Obviously you have power steering in this car, but it's not over boosted to where it becomes unenjoyable to drive. The shifter is actually quite nice. They do make short shift kits for this car, but I do quite like this shifter. I think it's just enough throw to actually enjoy going through the gears without getting confused, but still very notchy in that sort of Porsche classic sense. The visibility is fantastic. You still have these fairly narrow A-pillars throughout the car. You sit in a nice sort of sporty way in this car, and obviously you have some adjustable features as well, so you can actually get this car as comfortable as you want. I think everything is pretty easy to use as well. This car was getting into sort of the modern Porsche era, and so you'll find that the feel of a lot of cars would be very similar to everything that would come essentially up until the 997, I would say. Everything feels very Porsche-like for the era, so that is great for this car. The 944 obviously being quite unique with the fact that you have to pop-up headlights, and its exterior styling really makes this car stand out to one particular car. And from the overall sound side too, it's a lot of fun. You know, you still have modern amenities, and you have what is one of the coldest ACs you'll probably find in a car from the 1980s, and so that makes it enjoyable as well. The clutch is actually quite soft. There's the boost. It really kicks in around $4,000. You start to feel it above $3,000. Oh, it's a lot of fun to drive. The car is plenty quick. I would say it's easy to have fun with a car like this in the canyons, but it's not so quick that you're doing 0 to jail in no time. So that's a lot of fun there too. Obviously, some of the characteristics of this car, like the boost, are actually measured in bar, which is not what we do here in the States, despite this actually being a US car. Some of the changes include the fact that as a US car, it also has the US emissions package, which obviously is slightly different, or usually a few under horsepowers compared to its European equivalents. Oh, there it is. You see it kick in? And you can feel it. You can see the surge as the car boosts forward once that turbo kicks in. And it's a lot of fun to drive. Obviously, the turbo name is legendary in Porsche circles, and for the right reasons. It can often lead to a significant high difference in terms of the actual stated value of a car because of what it means and all the engineering that goes into these cars. The fact that the 944 started out as what was supposed to be essentially a project car for somebody else, but then was evolved by Porsche to become a true Porsche, and then they evolved it again here with the 944 Turbo. It really is a fun car to drive, and the updates really make this car something special. I think when it first came out in the form of the 924, it wasn't all that exciting to true Porsche diehard enthusiasts, but then they updated it, made it a true Porsche with the standard 944 model, and then they perfected it in a sense with the 944 Turbo, which is everything we think of when it comes to 1980s performance sports cars. And so that is a really great feature, I think, in that regard. But with that, that is the end of the video and a quick look at the 944 Turbo. This is my point to remind you where this particular car features just 43,000 original miles, is heavily documented, including the original window sticker and even the Porsche certificate of authenticity, and it's now for sale. It's heading up for auction on Bring a Trailer, where it will be selling with no reserve as offered from Cascio Motors. With that, that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed it and could leave me a like, I'd really appreciate it, and consider getting subscribed for more content like this in the future. With that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.